Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatashisha His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatashisha His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so 7th canto. Science of God. Chapter 3, Hiraṇyakaśipu's plan to become immortal. Text 34. Ananta avyakta rupena. Yenidam akilam tatam chid achit Shakti Uktaya Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha. Ananta Vyaktarupena Yenedam Akilam Tatam Chit Achit Chakti Yuktaya Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha Ananta Vyaktarupena Yenedam Akilam Tatam Chit Chakti Yuktaya Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha Ananta Vyaktarupena Yenedam Akilam Tatam Chit Chakti Yuktaya Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha
Ananta Vyaktarupena Yenedam Akilam Tatam Chit Chakti Yuktaya Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha Ananta Vyaktarupena Yenedam Akilam Tatam Chit Chakti Yuktaya Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha Ananta Vyaktarupena Yenedam Akilam Tatam Chit Chakti Yuktaya Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha Ananta Vyaktarupena Yenedam Akilam Tatam Chit Chakti Yuktaya Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha
Like to chat? Not now? All right. Ananta Avyaktarupena, by the unlimited, unmanifested form. Yena, by which. Idam, this. Akilam, total aggregate. Tatam, expanded. Chit, with spiritual. Achit, and material. Shakti, potency. Yuktaya, unto he who is endowed. Tasmai, unto him. Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namaha, I offer my respectful obeisances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, who in His unlimited, unmanifested form has expanded the cosmic manifestation, the form of the totality of the universe. He possesses external and internal energies and the mixed energy called the marginal potency, which consists of all the living entities. Purport. The Lord is endowed with unlimited potencies, parasya shaktir vivadaya shuriyate, which are summarized as three, namely external, internal, and marginal. The external potency manifests this material world, the internal potency manifests the spiritual world, and the marginal potency manifests the living entities, who are mixtures of internal and external. The living entity, being part and parcel of Brahman, is actually internal potency, but because of being in contact with the marginal energy, material energy, he is an emanation of material and spiritual energies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is above the material energy and is engaged in spiritual pastimes. The material energy is only an external manifestation of his pastimes. Okay, I'll just read one more. Yadidas yasya bhimatam varame Varadotama Bhutebhyas Tvad Mrityurma Bun Mama Prabhu. O my Lord. So Hiraṇyakaśipu is speaking to Lord Brahmā. He says, O my Lord. O best of the givers of benediction, if you will kindly grant me the benediction I desire, please let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. Purport. After being created from the navel of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Lord Brahmā, the original created living being within the universe, created many other different types of living entities to reside in this universe. Therefore, from the beginning of creation, the living entities were born of a superior living entity. Ultimately, Krishna is the supreme living being, the father of all others. Aham bija pradapita. He is the seed-giving father of all living entities. Thus far, Hiraṇyakaśipu has adored Lord Brahmā as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and has expected to become immortal by the benediction of Lord Brahmā. Now, however, having come to understand that even Lord Brahmā is not immortal, because at the end of the millennium Lord Brahmā will also die, Hiraṇyakaśipu is very carefully asking him for benedictions that will be almost as good as immortality. His first proposal is that he is not to be killed by any of the different forms of living entities created by Lord Brahmā in this material world. So tomorrow and the next day goes into the different other things that other benedictions that Hiraṇyakaśipu is going to ask of Lord Brahmā, not to be killed by on and on and on, different. Om Jnanativadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Madhitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kridavachalam Pangam Langadegadim Yakipatamaham Vande Shri Gurundiditaranam Vancha Kapadribhischa Kripasindabevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So yeah, throughout this chapter, Hiraṇyakaśipu has been thoroughly praising and flattering Lord Brahmā. And these last few verses, text 35 and the last couple verses of this chapter, he gets to the point of asking what he wants. And he wants to become immortal. So, not that so he could serve God forever, or serve Vishnu forever, but so he could enjoy materially and be the Lord of all he survey eternally. Because he throughout this chapter he was asking, he was bringing up points in the verses that I want to enjoy, I want to lord it over everything. I want dominion over everything and everyone in the whole universe. Quite a big material desire, huh? And so yeah, again, he didn't want to serve. He didn't want to live forever so he could serve, but he wanted to live forever so he could enjoy separately from Vishnu or Krishna. So we would say that this is what? Yes, demonic mentality. I'd say it's demonic, and yeah, I mean Hiraṇyakaśipu, he's one of the famous demons, or infamous, one of the famous demons of the Bhagavatam in history. But it's interesting because sometimes there's people who you could say more or less want the same thing. But they're religious, and they may be very big religious figures in society. Like, for example, there was one person, and in America here, and he was a very famous preacher, and they asked him about his particular conception of the kingdom of God. He was for the kingdom for a very particular reason. Dhammaraj is wearing a shirt for the kingdom, so I was using that. He's for the kingdom for a very particular reason. And that reason, anyways, they asked him, they said, what's your conception of the afterlife of heaven? And he said, well, what I will do what will I do when I go to heaven is I will go there and I will serve God for 100 years. And then after that I will enjoy. Yeah. He said that. And it's a very famous, like super famous preacher. I mean, so many followers, like very historical in America, famous person, you know, wrote so many books and so on. But that's what he said. It's very interesting. So his conception was that, okay, it was like a difference. There was like enjoyment, and then there was like serving God. Now, of course, you could say, okay, maybe he had some idea that there was some enjoyment there, but there was another form of enjoyment. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we would say that this is a misconception, and that the soul is meant to be always connected to the Supreme Soul or Krishna. The jiva is also always meant to be connected with Krishna. It's an eternal relationship. So yeah, Hiraṇyakaśipu, he just out and out just wanted power and enjoyment, completely devoid of Krishna consciousness or any idea of service to God. So that's what he wanted, and he wanted that eternally. So therefore he's praising Brahma throughout this chapter. You're this, you're that, you're so many wonderful qualities, and he's praising in Lord Brahmā. So Prabhupada explains in the purport of 34 that the Krishna is endowed with unlimited potencies, parasya shaktir vivadaya shriyate, which are summarized as three: external, internal, and marginal. So external potency manifests the material world, internal potency manifests the spiritual world, and the marginal potency manifests the living entities who are mixtures of internal and external. The living entity being part and parcel of Brahman is actually internal potency, but because of being in contact with the material energy, he is an emanation of material and spiritual energy. So you have these three energies: the internal energy or the spiritual energy, the material energy, and the jiva, right, in the middle. And many times devotees may ask that, okay, well, how do I become more attracted to Krishna? Right? How do I do that? It's a common question. And then how do I get away from being attracted to the material side of things? And as Prabhupada would give the example that if you're on a fence, right? What is the example he gives? Does anyone remember? Any of the younger devotees remember? If you're on a fence in relation to the material spiritual energy? Huh? Yeah. So if you lean one way, then you'll tend to go that direction, right? If you're leaning one, and if you lean the other way, you'll go the other direction. So the idea is that if we lean towards Krishna, then we'll become more and more attracted to Krishna. If we lean towards the material energy, we'll become attracted to the material energy. But the interesting thing is that both Krishna, as we were discussing the other day, both Krishna and Maya, they never sleep. They're always awake. Living entities may be sleeping, but they're always awake. In other words, they're always there, and they're, say Krishna is trying to attract, or he is attracting, and Maya is trying to attract, and she is attracting the living entities. So the idea is that we want to transfer all of our attraction that we have for the material energy. We want to become attracted to Krishna, which is easy because Krishna is all attractive. Therefore, it's easy to become attracted to Krishna. He's all attractive. But there's a process to become attracted to Krishna, just like there's a process for everything. Even such a simple thing as cutting a mango. Like Srila Prabhupada said that he was in Juhu, right, one time, Mumbai, and there was a number of his disciples around and some guests, and then Prabhupada asked one of his disciples to cut a mango and distribute it to the guests. And then this devotee, he started to cut the mango, but he was making a mess. There was juice all over, and it was just kind of mangling the mango up. He's just, and then one lady was nearby, a guest, and she said, "Oh no, here, let me, I'll take care of it. Don't worry." So then she got the mango and she cut, very precisely one side, and then she got the half, and like this, and then like this, and then cubes came. Very. So then Srila Prabhupada commented that, just see, even for such a thing, simple thing as cutting a mango, one needs a guru. So yeah, there's a process how to do everything, and like when I was in Guyana recently, and this devotee, he had a farm, and he had a bunch of trees, fruit trees, all different types of trees he was growing. Mangoes, trees, and star fruit, and cherries, and he had a bunch of trees everywhere, and coconuts also, coconut trees, which he was saying is a very, you could look at things from different points of view, but he was saying that coconut tree is a very lucrative tree to grow, because you grow them and they just keep on producing coconut after coconut. And companies, they take those dry coconuts and they make coconut oil, and they every part of the coconut's useful. Anyway, so naturally he wanted to offer some fruit to Krishna, then offer some to me, so he gave me some mangoes, and I brought them back to the temple, and I was trying to eat this mango, and then one of the local devotees, he started to eat the mango, and then he told me, "This is how you eat the mango," because he was seeing I wasn't doing it properly, because there's a certain way how to eat those mangoes. Anyways, same point, that you need a teacher for even the simplest of things. Prabhupada's point. So there's a process to be Krishna conscious, or there's a process how to develop that attraction to Krishna. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, mentions this, and it mentions that one should serve. One should serve devotees. Shushu Shosharadhanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchihi Syan Mahat Seva Vipra Punyatirtana Shevanat, that by serving great devotees who are free from vice, great service is done, and one gains a taste, one gains attraction to hearing the messages of Krishna, Krishna Katha, or the holy name of Krishna. One gains attraction for Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada makes the point in the purport that by serving a personality, whoever that personality may be, one will develop the qualities of that person. Interesting. So if you serve somebody who has bad qualities, you get bad qualities. But it's association and service. So, but Prabhupada said that if you serve devotees, then you get their qualities. And then he brings up the point, then what is one of the main qualities that devotees have? And that is that they're attracted to Krishna. So by serving devotees who are by nature attracted to Krishna, then we become attracted to Krishna. And this is very wonderfully brought up in the pastime of the history of Narada Muni. And Narada Muni, Vyasadeva was asking Narada Muni, his guru, in essence, how did you come to Krishna consciousness? So it's a long time question, right? Devotees are asking it up to the present. Hey Prabhu, how did you come to Krishna consciousness? So his guru, Vyasadeva was asking his guru Narada Muni, how did you come to Krishna consciousness? And he explained it. How he was the son of a simple maidservant, and how these Bhakti Vedantas, these great souls, they came and for Chaturmasya, the rainy season, they came and they stayed with him and his mother, and how his mother and him were serving these great devotees by cooking for them, by cleaning their whatever clothes and so on. And Narada Muni explains also how he was taking the remnants, the food that these personalities would eat. And in this way, hearing Krishna Katha also, in this way he developed great attraction to Krishna. He became a great devotee. And eventually his mother passed away, bitten by the snake, and he said he accepted this as divine providence, as Krishna's arrangement. And he left home. And he, in his meditation, the Srimad Bhagavatam explains that he saw Krishna. Krishna spoke with him, and then he had disappeared, and then a voice came and he said, You will not be able to see me again in this life. And it's explained that this not being able to see Krishna, it increases the desire to have Krishna's association. And then the next life he became Narada Muni. So this is, of course, there's many details of that particular pastime, and wonderful purport Srila Prabhupada gives. For more elaboration, you could go to the first canto. But the basic idea is there, that by serving devotees, we could become attracted to Krishna. That is, if we want to be attracted to Krishna, right? And we should want to be attracted to Krishna. So the process is there. So there's different ways to serve devotees. There's so many things. There's so many practical ways to serve the devotees. One Rupa Goswami, he brings up Dadati Pritigrinati Guyamakati Prichati, that one should reveal their mind in confidence, inquire from the devotees. So question and answering, this is a way of service, a relationship. Giving prasadam means food offered with love and devotion to Krishna, and accepted between the devotees, right? Giving gifts, accepting gifts. So these are the 6 loving exchanges, priti, lakshanam, between devotees, and this is a way of service. Also, Machita Magata Prana, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the devotees that get together and they discuss me. It's a way of service. There's so many ways we could serve devotees according to our particular situation in life. But one thing also is that, again, by serving those devotees who have this great attraction to Krishna, we develop that. So one way, one practical way in which we could do that is if we serve the founder Acharya of the Hare Krishna movement, Srila Prabhupada. And what does it mean to serve him? We serve his desires. means we try to fulfill his desires. And as Srila Prabhupada wrote Tamal Krishna Goswami one time, and an excerpt from that letter is that, "You write me to ask what is my desire, but my desire is very clear. I desire that as many people as possible, they are introduced to Krishna, they're given a chance to take to Krishna consciousness, and that they come, and that they chant, and they dance, and they take prasadam, and that they become devotees. This is my desire," if you want to try to fulfill that desire. So that is Srila Prabhupada's main desire, is that he wants people to be given the chance to become Krishna conscious, and therefore he worked very hard for that personally, and also encouraged his disciples to work very hard to fulfill that particular aim. And that is a wonderful opportunity because it's unlimited. There's so many people, and there's not only that there's so many people, but they just keep on coming. People are taking birth every day. So there's all these opportunities to try to give them Krishna consciousness. So it's a wonderful opportunity. So therefore prasadam distribution, therefore Hari, chanting the holy names, therefore book distribution, which in this particular time of the year throughout the world, starting from the early days of ISKCON, it's been a time where devotees, they exert a lot of energy, as much as possible, to try to give as many books, Srila Prabhupada's books specifically, to as many people as possible. So in the cold of London, devotees are out there, it's cold.
Try Finland, where it's also dark during the day.
Yeah, dark Finland, and the heat of Guyana, it's hot down there actually. Devotees are out in the mild weather of San Diego. So, but wherever it is in the world, devotees are out trying to give this way, that way. Srimad Bhagavatam sets, Chaitanya Charitamrita sets of Srila Prabhupada's books. Books to friends, books to families. They're getting books sponsored, doing Shastra Dan. They're putting books in libraries. They're just trying to get as many books out as possible, with the idea of serving the desire of the Charya, of our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. And by doing that, everybody wins. Means the devotees who do that, they're serving Srila Prabhupada in that way, and he's very pleased. And in this way, they're advancing in Krishna consciousness. They're developing the same qualities that he does by serving him, as that attraction to Krishna. And simultaneously, the conditioned souls are given an opportunity, at least an opportunity, to have a chance to inquire into the absolute truth, have a chance to take to Krishna consciousness. And so it's a win-win situation for everyone. And just as Hiraṇyakaśipu, Lord Hiraṇyakaśipu, no. Just how Hiraṇyakaśipu he's confused, he's bewildered, he's an illusion. He's asking for something he cannot get. It's like impossible. He's asking for something that's impossible. But he's such an illusion, he doesn't see it. So similarly, the conditioned souls, they're asking for something they just cannot get, or they're looking for something they cannot find. They're looking in all the wrong places, right? They're looking all over the universe for happiness, going here, going there, going all over the universe. and they're just failing over and over and over again. But just as Hiraṇyakaśipu, he cannot see it. So similarly, they cannot see it. It's called being blinded by illusion. So therefore the Vaishnavas, therefore the devotees of Krishna, they try to by giving them knowledge, by giving them association, by even initiating them, they try to help these people. You could say they try to remove the ignorance that is covering their vision of reality. And this is the great, you could say, mercy of the devotees. And we'll hear later, like Prahlad Maharaj, he's so merciful. He wanted to, although his father was so abusive, to say the least, trying to kill him in so many ways, still he prayed for his father's deliverance. So even if we say, well, I'm not very merciful by nature, right? I'd say at least we could, if we're not feeling that mercy, we should at least do it out of duty. That, okay, out of duty I should do something. And then later we hope that more of that feeling awakens naturally. So those are some. Does anybody have any? Yes. Can someone pass a mic to Bajranayan Swami?
I have a small question, and then I have two other questions. How is the right way to eat a mango?
Well, I mean, like, it seems that, because this mango, the devotee was telling me, oh, you know, this doesn't have a lot of strands. But then when I was trying to eat it, it seemed like there was a lot of strands in it. And I was like, okay, well, because the mangoes that you get here, there's not so many strands. So when I was trying to eat it, I was thinking, oh, geez, this is kind of. But then the devotee, he bit into the mango, and then what they did is they
mush it and then drink it?
Yeah. And then they drink it, and then they take the skin off, and then they don't like bite into it and try to take it apart. They just suck out the juice from the seed. So that's how they.
That's a valuable piece of information.
Anyways.
Well, I'll just ask my one question, then we'll see if anybody else has a question. Well, you're talking about how we should try to help the conditioned souls and turn them to the light, turn them to Krishna's feet, lotus feet. But why? Everyone's got karma and destiny, and Krishna himself says when they've got sufficient, no more sinful activities and sufficient pious activities, they can take up to devotional service. So everyone's going to get there in due course. And if you try to push them prematurely, they commit offenses. So why not, like a chickpea, you just have to let it soak. So let them just do whatever they're doing, and when they've been knocked around by matter sufficiently, they'll turn to devotional service. And why am I knocking my head against the wall or trying to make something that's not fated to happen yet?
All right.
I'm going to go back to eating my mangoes.
Yeah, there's I mean, it's Krishna's system, because the question is, okay, well, how do people get the first of all, there has to be an understanding that, okay, first of all, there has to be understanding that there's God, but the second understanding is that people need the mercy of God, right? Mercy of Krishna. Now the question is, well, how is that mercy distributed? Does Krishna come personally and distribute it? And sometimes he does. He comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and distributes it personally. But generally, Krishna's not personally distributing it. So then the question is, well, who distributes it? Is it the Uttama Adhikari, Well, the Uttamadhikari, you could say, the general definition of Uttamadhikari, because there's different definitions, but the general definition we find in Scripture is that they're so absorbed in Krishna consciousness that they just think they see everyone to be devotees and everybody serving besides them. So in other words, there's no need to give Krishna consciousness because everybody's already devotees. That's how they see. It's quite an interesting vision they have. So in other words, they're not preachers. So who gives the mercy then? Is it the Kanishta Adhikaris? No, they don't. They also don't give because they see God in the temple, and they don't see God anywhere else. In other words, they don't really have a need, or they don't feel the urge. They don't feel the need to give out the mercy. They're not interested. So who gives out the mercy? And that is the Madhyama Adhikari. Means this middle devotee. And by definition, they give their love, their service to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They make friends with the devotees. They avoid the envious, because by preaching to the envious, they become more envious, and therefore, you could say, dig their hole deeper. And they preach to the innocent. So this is Krishna's system, how his mercy is meant to be distributed. And practically that's how it's distributed. And the living entities, being so much an illusion, they're not looking for that mercy generally. They're just an illusion. So the devotees, understanding the situation, they try to help, knowing that this person's just running off a cliff and they don't even realize it, or they're just so an illusion that they're happy running off a cliff. So yeah, it's not a right conception just to think, okay, we'll just let things go on as they're going on, and things will all just work out. But actually, it's Krishna's system that this is how the mercy is supposed to be distributed, and Krishna wants his holy name distributed. I don't know if that.
That's pretty good. Dravida, you got anything to add? Oh.
I think what we read so often in the Shastra is that one of the qualities that's developed when you advance in devotional service is that you feel empathy. You know, you think, well, who's really advanced? Well, was it Vasudev Dutt who asked Lord Chaitanya to take all? I was just hearing that last time. I'll go to hell. Take all of the other sins, and you just deliver everybody, and I'll go to hell. And Lord Chaitanya started crying, and he embraced him, and he said, "You don't have to go to hell. You know, just by your desire, they're all going to be delivered." But that's a natural feeling that awakens in the heart of an advanced Vaishnava. He feels, oh, these are all my brothers and sisters. Every living entity, not just human beings, Prabhupada often said, you know. So you naturally feel. I just heard, I think it was recounting, it was following Srila Prabhupada, and it was, what's his name, Bhavananda, I think was with Prabhupada when after they built the first building, Lotus building had been built, Prabhupada went up. And they were all, they heard, and he heard all of this dogs barking outside, you know. And he looks out, and there were all of these kids, poverty-stricken kids, who were fighting with the dogs. They all had a stick, and they were trying to knock up the dog. And there was discarded plates. They had distributed so much prasadam. There was a little prasadam still left in it. and the dogs were trying to get it, and these little kids were trying to get it. And Prabhupada's tears were coming to his eyes. And he said, so before that, Bhavananda said, sometimes Prabhupada, I look at it and I see all this and I feel, really compassionate. Prabhupada said, why sometimes? Why only sometimes? And Prabhupada said that nobody should go hungry 10 miles from the temple. They started a massive prasadam distribution, but I think it's still going on to this day. And so that's the natural feeling that awakens in great devotees or advanced devotees. Is that the suffering, and it's not, and Prabhupada always made the point, it's not just human beings, he would always rail against the mass cow slaughter that was going on and how that's so sinful and it's going to produce so much suffering in society and has. So it's just a natural tendency. And so there's an urgency to try to give, especially the human beings, knowledge that can save them from lifetimes of suffering. And we have it in the books, and this is, every book distributor gets impelled to do that after some time. I was looking at the World News, Sankirtan newsletter, and there was a list of Prabhupada disciples on there. There was about 6 or 7 left, still distributing full time and going out. Bhagavati, of course, and Nidra and some others in America. So it's just, I think it's one of the features that happens, the softness of the heart and this feeling of empathy. You try to, and you have them. It's like a doctor. He has the medicine. He can cure it. Take this book. Take this mantra.
Shut it off. Yeah, I was thinking, in addition to what Balaram was saying, because, Hiraṇyakaśipu was asking Prabhupada that if someone is in Vrindavan and sinful, and they take birth as a monkey or a dog or but in their next life they go back to Godhead, and Hiraṇyakaśipu was trying to, why does it work that way? And Prabhupada's response was, well, that's Krishna's system. So I was appreciating your presentation that that's Krishna's. It's not just like there's Krishna and then there's the conditioned souls. But he's got his agents. That gives Prabhupada said he started ISKCON just to give the devotees something to do. So, because, idle mind is a devil's workshop, we're Krishna's agents. And that's fun. It's the adventure of trying to deliver the conditioned souls and spread Krishna's mission. And so I was thinking there's compassion, which develops automatically. And there's also gratitude. As I was delivered, what kind of person gets something? Suppose I discovered penicillin and cured my family and then shut up about it. Well, and people were dying all over the world and I'd know penicillin. So and there's also free will. It's not that everybody's just on a conveyor belt automatically. And when they get the square X, they'll snap around and come to Krishna consciousness. Everyone's got free will. That's one of the principles of why there, so many different things. Why there's the material, why do we come here? Why doesn't Krishna automatically make us just love him? But there's free will as an essential point of the living entity's qualities and of bhakti. So we've got to have free will, which means we can make a choice. And how do we make a choice unless the devotee's there to give it to us?
Yeah.
And that's Krishna's system. And we're motivated because what kind of person doesn't feel, you got to have a heart of stone if you're not compassionate. And what to speak of gratitude. I've been delivered, let me give this to others. So I think all of those things you're mentioning are factors, and it's a combination. You got a question? Do I get something to add here?
Yeah, even just a simple thing as one of the principles that we follow, not eating meat. It's such a simple principle, actually. But it's amazing how so few people, there's more people throughout the world who are understanding the importance of it, but just in the religious world alone, it's such a simple principle that should be, that religious people should be educating the general mass of people to follow.
Which the Dalai Lama does not follow.
and that they should be educating their disciples and students to follow, but it's hard to find religious groups, spiritual groups, and just that follow that principle. And that's just a very basic principle. So, and what to speak of other things. So the Hare Krishna movement has a lot to offer people in terms of knowledge and, yeah, giving them a choice. You have something? Vijay, money?
Thank you, Prabhu. You were saying that if you are distributing the mercy, then you're already on the level of Madhikari. And we see that for the majority of devotees in our movement, they are distributing something, books or prasadam, and they're being compassionate. And the result of compassion usually is very attractive to people, to mass of people. And so therefore the question that I have is, why is that we're distributing the knowledge, the mercy, and we're trying to be compassionate, but the movement is not growing rapidly, and people are not taking up Krishna consciousness?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's growing. I would say growing rapidly, but it depends where you look. I mean, there's different places in the world that are, you could say, growing more rapidly than others. But there's a lot of places throughout the world that they're growing, but it might be a little on the slow side. Why is that? I mean, what do you think? You have some ideas?
I got something to say. How about we quote Krishna? Bahunam janmanam mante jnanavamam prapajite vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sadurlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Prabhupada says, how many people, if I go into a prison and I say, those cops, it was a good thing they caught me. It was a good thing they caught you criminals. You're all just causing trouble and going to hell. So it's a good thing they caught you. And that judge that gave you 50 years, hard labor, I mean, come on, you got to work off the karma. He was a good guy. Am I going to be very popular? Other prisons are going to say, hey, geez, you got a point there. Rather you go to prison, everybody says they're innocent. They all say, well, I was framed. So we've got to realize where we are. And everyone's like Hiraṇyakaśipu. They've got the hardcore. No, I'm not doing things Krishna's way. I'm doing things my way. We've got that guy at MIT. What is his name? Stephen Gould, I think is his name. But he's a big, evolutionist. And I'll be quick. I don't want to hang you guys up. But he says, and Sariputta shared with me, it's a video clip. He's being interviewed by, whatever it is, National Geographic or something. And they've got him, he's speaking. And he says there's really only two options. Everything happened by chance, or there's a designer behind it. And if there's a designer, so they said, well, which of you chose? He said, obviously I've chosen chance. And they asked him why. He said, well, because the idea that there's a supreme, that we are subordinate to, he says it flat out. The idea that there's a supreme that we're subordinate to, and that there's orders and laws that we have to, comport to, I find that untenable. They just couldn't. So, like my brother, college professor, said when he read Gita, Prabhupada's Gita, it lays it out too easily. In other words, here's what you do, and you get this result. No, I don't want to do that. I want room to speculate. I want room to do my own thing. I don't want to surrender. So you're in a place where people don't want to surrender. They've been sent here because they've determined to turn their back to Krishna. The real question to ask, Prabhupada says, how many people go into a Tiffany's jewelry store? People are pouring into Walmart buying costume jewelry. Does that mean costume jewelry is a better thing? Look how many people are buying it. Well, that's not the measure. Tiffany's has 1 or 2 people going in a day buying a diamond. But a diamond is always a diamond. What's the reason that only a few people are going into Tiffany's and people are pouring into Walmarts for costume jewelry or a real? Anyone want to guess what the reason is? Who said price? Yeah, you got to be willing to pay the price. And they don't want to pay the price. It's not a bewilderment, it's common sense. Why not so many people take it? The miracle is that someone takes it up.
One thing is that
After you,
one thing is that, like Srila Prabhupada, like this idea that Srila Prabhupada said that well, if I changed the principles, in other words, people didn't have to follow certain things. What to speak of changing the philosophy? Yeah, then you get millions of followers, right? Because so that's one thing. Another thing is that this idea of if somebody leaves, then whose fault is it? So is it their fault or is it our fault? You say, okay, I mean, we should consider that. Okay, it's their fault to a degree, but it could be our fault to a degree also. So in other words, what's being asked of us is we should keep the temple clean, keep the temple in the mode of goodness, keep things from deteriorating. Like Tamal Krishna Goswami, like Prabhupada told Tamal Krishna Goswami about Juhu project, he said, "Don't let 1 inch of my property deteriorate." So we do that, and then alongside we're Krishna conscious, we're following, we're trying our best to be Krishna conscious, we're trying our best to give Krishna consciousness, and after that what can we do? We've done what we could do. Now, of course, you could say we could try to do more, but there's only so much we could do. That's another thing. And another thing is that, like Prabhupada, he gave a lecture one time, and he was saying, I was searching for just one moon. There's some quote like that, I don't know, from Chanakya Pandit or something, but moon could illuminate so much, versus stars, right? So Prabhupada said, I was just looking for one moon, but by one devotee, to illuminate. But by Krishna's grace, I got so many moons. So, so even if you could say there's not some huge numbers, but if there's devotees if there's people who are becoming devotees and we're able to help them, or if somebody's becoming a pure devotee, if they become a pure devotee, then that's a great success. Like Prabhupada says in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, even if by this endeavor we just make one pure devotee, it's a great success. So, anyways, those are some.
To add to that, you made me think of it. I don't know how, 100 years after Jesus, 200 years after Jesus, they were still throwing them to the lions.
Yeah.
So if you look at the rate, look at Buddhism, look at how long Buddhism was lying fallow until Ashoka came along and and became a king, Emperor Ashoka, and then spread it. So I think it was Constantine was the one in it. But you know how long they were throwing them to the lions? And if you look, Prabhupada came in 1965. Yeah, and look at where we are in 50, 60 years. If you look at other cultures changing, because cultures, how long did it take, from the age of faith, the Renaissance, from the age of the Renaissance, to the age of enlightenment, and you got to go to whatever it is, industrial age. And those things are 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, those shifts. The world's culture shifts all the time. But you look at that time rate, if you look at the time rate of other whole traditions, the God's in heaven, hell's below, the earth is flat, everybody believed that. And then, maybe the stars are planets are moving. But all of those things took hundreds of years. But so if you look from when Prabhupada arrived in 1965 and where we are now, and compare it to the rate of spreading of other cultural changes, we are moving along at jet speed.
I have a question. About prediction of Lord Chaitanya about golden age, about that holy name will be chanted every village, every town,
Well, let
everywhere.
Vajrayana Swami go for that one. Well, I've heard your answer before. I like the answer. So, you want to pass the mic? And then after that, we'll...
I don't want to keep you away from breakfast. But is it Bhavishya Parana? What is that? Yeah. Is that? But I forgot the name right.
You got it?
What do you know about that? So in the Bhavishya Purana, and Prabhupada quotes it many times, but when Prabhupada, and it was in Back to Godhead magazine, I'm sure you can find it, and Prabhupada says it other places as well. He was talking with the Beach Boys. They were the American Beatles at one point in time. So they were influential. And Prabhupada told them flat out, Prabhupada said that there's, in the Bhavishya Purana, it's explained that the Kali Yuga is progressing. We know that there's 425,000 years is Kali Yuga. Anybody left after that, Prabhupada said, oh, they can see the fun. It just, no fruits, no flowers. People are living on flesh, eating their own children. I mean, it's predicted what happens at the end of Kali Yuga. But there's a golden age, like a river may be flowing in one direction, and every now and then there's a cross current. It flows a little eddy, or a cross current. So Prabhupada said the trajectory, the current of Kali Yuga, 425,000 years, is downhill. But from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance 500 years ago, 500 plus, there's a golden age in Kali Yuga. So while the mainstream is going 425,000 and it's all downhill, there's a cross current that goes for 10,000 years, starting from Mahaprabhu's appearance. Prabhupada said 5,000 years up and a 5,000-year plateau. So that is, and it'll be in some places where there are devotees. This is Prabhupada, he also says it about Mayapur. Mayapur should be a 50,000 person city. He says after 50,000, the Vedas describe that after 50,000, it becomes like rats, stacked on top of each other. But if cities, Vedic cities are a certain size, and he says that's going to spread all over the world. And it'll separate, like when this is what Prabhupada said, like when you churn milk, it'll separate into, you get your butter and you've got your whey. So by the chanting, and by the design of the Supreme Lord and the progression of time, the earth, it's churned and it changes. And you've got devotees where it's like Satya Yuga, and you've got the karmis where it's just getting worse. So that's also the historical prediction of the Vedas and of our acharyas, that from Mahaprabhu's appearance, 5,000 years up, 5,000-year plateau of a golden age, wherever the devotees are.
All right, so we'll end on that. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.